I am the initial instigator of Proposition 37, which was your I522 in California last year. We built a grassroots movement and then got others on board and had an amazing election process. Unfortunately, we didn't prevail at the ballot, like I'm getting increasingly confident you guys will up here. This is after shock and awe and PTSD from us down in California. But I really believe that you've got a great chance here, and I'm just going to talk for about 15-ish, 20 minutes and tell you what I'm excited about. So, first of all, I have to say that before I came up here, I hadn't really been paying a whole lot of attention. I had been very focused in California still. We're very, very active. And I've been amazed since I arrived here at the number of people that have been dedicating a tremendous amount of time to this issue up here. They've worked really hard for many hours, some of them the equivalent of a full-time job. They've done it for free. They've done it. They've made copies and printed banners and done all sorts of stuff all by themselves, creating an on-the-ground campaign that has just been astonishing and wonderful to me. So you've got great leadership here, and all I need is a little more help. So it's really I was really excited to see all the people at the volunteer thing a little bit earlier, and I hope that those that weren't here earlier, by the time that we're done tonight, will be joining your groups, because we have local groups now all over the place, which is really, really exciting. And you don't have that much time left before the election. I think you're 35 days, 17 days before the ballots drop. So it's not that much time to get involved, and to get involved quickly and intensely to make sure that you guys at your ballot box prevail in a way that California didn't. So what are some of the differences that I saw? The first one is that our campaign didn't have very much money. Our campaign manager made the decision to only have the ads the last 2 weeks of the campaign because he wanted to conserve money. And so for the first 3 very long weeks, we had the same kind of barrage of commercials that you guys are probably seeing if you watch TV up here. We had mailers like you're receiving, and which we've seen, actually identical sorts of mailers, because you have the same team on the no side up here that we had in California. It's the same campaign manager team and the same media team. So some of it was basically just cut and paste with a few people from Washington put in. So there was a silence for 3 weeks, and those first 2 weeks, like in California they do polls every couple of weeks, we started off with like 66% approval rating before the ads started, and then we went down to 48% in the first 2 weeks at the polls. I was on a call today with the I522 team, and those polls have happened here in Washington, and you are still ahead. You're still ahead after the 2 weeks. And I think part of that reason is because you guys were able to have ads on from day one. So people are getting both sides of the conversation going. You know, these folks are masters. They are just, it's really almost impressive. Well, it is kind of impressive at how good they are. Not that I like what they're doing, but I mean the fact that they can take things and just twist them and sound very reasonable and very, very honest and forthcoming. It's pretty frightening, really, how slick the PR is. But anyway, so they're really good. So I don't know how many of you have talked to people who are starting to get confused about things from mailers and from ads. And my favorite one, and it must be the most important one, because it talks about, meat in dog food will have to be labeled, but your steak will not. I want to tell you that this comes from a holdover from California. Our definition of food includes pet food. Yours does not, however. So they're kind of like lying and bringing up stuff that is completely false. But even in California, it would have been the soy and the corn in the pet food that would have had to have been labeled, not the meat. The other one is people get confused. The truth is we don't have genetically engineered animals on the market yet. Salmon, one of your most important industries here, is poised to be genetically engineered really soon, but it still is not. There are no genetically engineered cows yet. There are no genetically engineered pigs yet. goats or any of those animals that are being worked on. But when they are on the market, they too will have to be labeled. So this is another thing that they try and confuse people with, you know, that the animals won't. And the truth is, it's important for you to know, is that the animals that eat the genetically engineered stuff won't be labeled. And why is that? First of all, as the campaign will tell you, it's to conform with international labeling laws. Because nobody that I know of, does anybody label the meat that, you know, that's fed the GMOs? Nobody around the world labels the animals that are fed the GMOs. So we're trying to conform. But a civic lesson that you might want to know about is that in ballot initiatives you can only have one topic. It can only be about one thing. If it's about two things, it can be legally challenged, and then they can throw the whole thing out. So something that eats genetically engineered stuff is not the same thing as something that is genetically engineered. So that's where they draw the fuzzies. So does that make sense to everybody? Did I say, okay, great. So whenever you hear something that doesn't make sense, it's probably because it doesn't make sense. And you can go to the Yes on 522 website, and there's a great thing there called the Mythbusters and the Truth Squad, and it'll answer great questions for you, all those kinds of things for you in a way that is easy to remember and easy to spew out, and it's like the 2-minute or 30-second elevator speech so that you can nip it in the bud. There have been some great debates that have been going on. I'm so excited to hear, you know, the opposition coming up to volunteer speakers and saying, boy, I sure hope we don't have to speak against you again. That was really great to hear. Always love that one. I'm hearing, you know, that from different parts of the state, you know, the kind of feedback they're getting from being on panels and the kind of stuff that the Farm Bureau's talking about and all that kind of good stuff, trying to confuse people, talking about having to use more diesel in their fields. Something like, what does that have to do with labeling? You know, you'll hear about, you know, feeding the world. Well, what about feeding the world? All the children are going to starve because you folks in Washington want a label on your food. It doesn't make sense. So one of the big things is to change the conversation and get them back on track, because again, they're masters at confusion. A confused voter votes no. So the more they can confuse you and everybody else, the more likely they are to vote a no. So I was telling you about the fact that your ballots are going to drop soon, and one of the things we talked about, and I keep getting asked, are one of the most important things that we can be doing now. And I said during our little volunteer meeting, and I'll say it again, is to talk. Talk to people. Talk to people on Facebook. Talk to people on the phone, people that you know that aren't on a call list. There's also phone banking that's going on with the campaign. You go to the I522 Yes on 522 website, sign up. You can become part of a group. You could have a party at your house. All you need is a computer and a phone, or you can do it in the privacy of your own home. But it's really important. We are getting people from around the world that are going to help. I mean, around the country that are going to help. Maybe the world, who knows? But it's really great if people hear that you're a Washingtonian. You know, I live in the county next to you, and you know, this is what I'm seeing, and don't believe them when they say this and that, and you know, connecting with people and answering their questions. It's really important. Talk to people you don't know. When you're standing in the line at the grocery store, wear a pin. It's a great conversation piece. All these little things add up, because you never know who you're talking to. They could know, you know, they could get on fire or hear about the ways in which the large chemical companies are pouring millions. So this is a really interesting tidbit of information I just figured out on the way over here. Your money stretches further than it does in California, so it's kind of like every dollar you spend here is like $5 that you have to spend in California. So the fact that the opposition as of today has dumped like $17 million into your thing, that's like an $85 million campaign in California. It's like, whoa, that's really intense when I started thinking about that, because 46 was really intense, which is what they spent down in California. But yeah, you guys got it going on here. So one of the things that we'll be talking about a little bit later is the excitement and need for help with getting bumper stickers out on the streets, on the cars, and also lawn signs. And the campaign has decided to put all their resources into the commercials, which they need to do. So it's us on the ground that we're trying to raise money to get lawn signs out, because they are a great way to let people know that there are a whole lot of people that support this. Another thing I've been suggesting is to go to the store and get get car paint for the windows, and you can put yes on 522 on your windows, and it's like you're a roving billboard. In California, I'll just give you a little thing, it's really dry there, and so the stuff I had was actually water soluble, but you guys might want to try and find something that's not water soluble here. But paint your windows. You know, I've been able to drive around in the fishy corn car and the fishy apple car and the tomato car, all of them, and it's really fun. People are very happy, and you get a lot of thumbs up, a lot of stuff. So talking to people, being visible, not being afraid. One of the things I had to decide when I started working on this issue was that I had to be willing to look like a complete idiot, okay, and not care. So I do. I talk to all sorts of people, standing in the grocery line, standing in front of a store, talking to the people at my church. We talked a little bit about that, and I'll bring it up again. It's a great way to reach out to people because you got a lot of people there. Going to people like your Rotary Club or your Bee Club or your Poker Club or your whatever club, and getting in a discussion with people so that they too can then go talk to people, go forth and multiply, you know, that kind of a thing. Another really important thing is visibility events. If you, you know, there's a place for everybody. So like if you don't like to talk to people, learn, like be willing to look like an idiot, but also get out there and just stand on the corner with a sign. I mean, some people might find that's even worse. But if you go with a couple of friends, or you tag your children along for the cuteness factor, the secret weapon factor, and you're all holding a sign, and you have like maybe a couple extra flyers, you can give them out to the people that stop by. Those are great. In Seattle, I got to have fun on a very blustery day by being able to do an overpass banner thing that we were like holding on because it was really, really windy, and then we kind of moved because it was too windy. But you can do that. You can go out there and stand there so that a whole bunch of people going on the freeway see you. All you need is a big banner. You can make them, or you can get them printed. I believe on the Yes on 522 site there is a large banner that you can download the PDF of and get it printed. You know, all these ways are ways to, you know, contributing, not waiting for anybody to get you a banner, but get your, you know, go to Vistaprint, go to Staples, go to Office Depot. It's not that much of an expense if everybody does their own. Yeah. I mean, all these crazy, wonderful things to do. Is there some kind of a festival in your area, like I don't know, what's up here? Walla Walla onions, or is that what? Farmers markets. Yeah. But I mean, like, are there any more festivals in the season?
Salmon Days this weekend.
Salmon Day. There's a person that I drove to Puyallup last night with who's doing gun shows. She's great. I just loved it. And yeah, go Maggie. You know, she's going to all the gun shows and, you know, gets tables there and talks to people and finds that we all eat. And we all care about this stuff, and there's a tremendous amount of support. And when we talk to people and they hear our message first, then that sticks with them. When they hear an ad or they get a flyer and they say, oh yeah, well, this sounds a little fishy, almost like, you know, the fishy corn car. It's fishy. And something doesn't seem right here. I mean, and if there's a point at which some of the things they're saying, you just intuitively react to because it's just too slick. So yeah, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, and I'll just wrap it up with this, is that this is about connecting with people. Yeah, it's about getting genetically engineered food labeled so that we can continue to eat food that we all feel comfortable with and want to continue eating and stuff like that. But this is really about connecting with people, and this is something they don't have. They don't have a group of people that comes in support, that sits down and eats together, that talks to each other and cares passionately about their food and the future of the planet for their children. This is about connecting with each other, looking in each other's eyes, not in some glowing box. You know, that's a box. It has no soul in it, but we have soul, and we can touch each other on a really profound level. So I'm very excited to have been here and find that there are wonderful GMO activists all over the place. It's really sweet to look in people's eyes here in the same way I do in California and meet people who aren't strangers but that they're friends. So thank you very much.